Hey everybody, happy Friday. This is the Craig Folly Show. It is the Friday Follies on Deadline Detroit. We are live at the Buell Bar in downtown Detroit. So glad to have you with us today. And I have two wonderful people to help me make fun of the news this week. Alan Lengel of Deadline Detroit is with me, as is Nancy Derringer from Deadline Detroit.
Always fun.
I'm saying Deadline Detroit quite a bit. That is the new home of all of my program offerings at this point in time. Big thanks to them for taking me on board. It's been a lot of fun so far, and you guys get suckered into doing this kind of stuff, and I appreciate your help very, very much.
Enjoy doing it.
Well, look, I think this concept of the Friday Follies, where we actually do make fun, fits in pretty darn well with Deadline Detroit's model over the years. So, yeah, I figured it's just sort of a natural fit.
And when you add the dovetailing of the insanity of current events in the last few years, it really is a perfect fit.
I have to ask, and I'm going to ask the old timer, Washington Post guy here, Alan Lengel, about this. Every single day there is something new that happens out of Washington with the president, this administration. I don't recall it being that way all the time with other presidents. I mean, there's news and they make statements, but they would have to come up with reasons to have press conferences to get the press interested in what they were doing. Now it's just a frenzy, constantly.
I would say this: we've never had an entertainment president like this who, whether
I'm
you
not
say,
entertained.
Well,
I'm not entertained.
Well, whatever you say, the ratings are good.
Oh, yeah.
And the ratings are good, and that's all he cares about. And so, but I was there, interestingly, I started at the Washington Post in 1997. In 98, I remember there was a group of editors huddling at nighttime, and I asked my editor, I said, what's going on? And she said, I don't know, something about Clinton having an affair with an intern. And
something about that.
And it obviously blew up, and Washington was very intense for a while. I mean, I remember going by the Mayflower Hotel, and I think they were deposing Monica Lewinsky. There was a lot going on back then, but this even seems more intense. And, obviously, look, with Nixon, Watergate turned into an insane period, but there's been long stretches where it hasn't been this crazy. So I think we forget that Nixon, the Clinton, Watergate was insane. I mean, all the televised hearings and stuff, all the intrigue. So I think sometimes we forget that. But this president,
he's reminding us of it because the comparisons are coming fast and furious now as to the final days of the Nixon administration to what is happening here. The similarities are really, really creepy. And the fact is, hard evidence apparently is starting to emerge that this guy told people to do some bad things.
Right.
This morning's revelation that Michael Cohen was instructed by the president. Michael Cohen says the president instructed him to lie to Congress. That's a big deal.
You know what they call that?
They call that obstruction of justice.
Suborning perjury.
Suborning perjury.
Absolutely.
This is the kind of thing.
But they don't call it a blowjob. And the Republicans are going to say, well, sure, he might have lied to Congress, but he didn't lie about a blowjob, and that's sort of the standard.
Yeah. Well, is that the standard? Is that what it is now?
I fear that may be the standard.
Because wouldn't the Stormy Daniels thing play into that somehow though? Because he's gone that route too, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he lied about that too.
Absolutely.
No doubt,
Given the amount of information she actually has about the size and shape of this man, I'm thinking that there might be a little bit more there.
That's never been verified.
Well,
come on.
Perhaps not. But I'm never going to play Mario Brothers the same way again.
Oh.
So. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. Never mind.
But this is a big deal. I mean, I don't think this is something that he can just sit there and say fake news, especially because we do know that Michael Cohen has recorded some things. So there may be some sort of hard evidence for this. Also, one of the revelations from this story this morning is that Donald Trump Jr. may have committed perjury as well in front of Congress, talking about, well, I didn't know anything about this Russia trip until some point when in reality it looks like there were plenty of discussions about sending Cohen to Russia to get this deal through.
Can they share a cell at wherever they end up? What Camp Fed or?
I don't know. You know what I would actually consider doing?
Club Fed. That's it. I'm sorry.
If Donald Trump was going to go to jail somewhere and I was the warden at that place, I would get myself a can of gold spray paint the toilet gold in his cell for him.
I like that.
So he feels like he's at home.
Yeah, just a little bit at home.
I feel like when you tell me about Donald Trump Jr., I feel like another hero of mine going down.
A real American hero.
Yeah, it's
Audie
hard.
Murphy
it's hard
Part 2.
We should do this a little later in the day more
Who do you turn to?
Yeah, exactly.
Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio?
Right.
Donald Trump Jr., our nation turns its lonely eyes to you. I don't think anybody's ever going to sing those words.
I do remember, actually, the day before the election, literally the day before the election, I was walking into work, going by Grand Circus Park and that barbecue place. There were all these Trump trucks and stuff, and it was Don Jr. was speaking to a group of businessmen.
In Detroit?
In Detroit.
On
at
election
Grand
day.
Circus. Oh, day before election.
Okay.
Yeah,
They
I want to say,
election
I
day
think that was
eve.
Dan Gilbert that brought him in, if I'm
Yeah,
not
it
mistaken.
was always
I could have been
Dan
wrong.
Gilbert.
He was talking about how much his father loved America, and he didn't really need to be doing this. He had enough money. And
Well, we're going to find out about that at some point.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the money thing is always been way out of
That's
whack
always,
with reality.
always been way out of whack.
But you know, Donald Trump.
and the art of the deal.
The White House has, strangely enough, not said anything about this story yet that I've seen today. I've been looking to see whether or not there's any tweets in response to this, because this might be the smoking gun, right? This is the one thing. If he indeed did this, that's a real problem, and not something that even the Republicans can sweep under the rug. I don't think they'll be able to.
Some will.
Well, Lindsey Graham clearly
many
will.
Many will try. All we can hope for is that there is some conscience of some stepping forward and saying this.
I would
is
not hold my breath waiting for that. So what you're saying is this is Donald Trump's
I'm gonna
blue
hold my
dress,
breath.
essentially, right?
Very much, yes.
Yeah.
It very well could be. And
So,
you know,
okay.
this is a problem.
All righty.
Now, granted,
drink to that.
he is tweeting about something else today, though, which is obviously designed to get our mind off of his legal problems and onto what he wants to talk about, which is, of course, the southern border and how dangerous it is. And he tweets out today a story that the Washington Examiner ran. And the Washington
that
Examiner,
one.
if you don't know it, is a very conservative paper that does a lot of pro-Trump stuff.
Right.
I read a lot of their things just because they show up in my feed all the time, and they're really quite
Oh, they're dependable.
they're
sure.
quite
Yeah.
ludicrous at times. But he says, here's what he says in the tweet. Border rancher, quote, "We've found prayer rugs out here. It's unreal." Washington Examiner says, people coming across the southern border from many countries, some of which would be a big surprise.
Ooh, yeah.
Now, okay, a prayer rug?
Yeah.
They found prayer rugs.
No, they haven't. They did not.
I
all
understand.
all of this is based on the account of one person.
Unnamed person.
One
who
unnamed
feared reprisal
rancher.
from the cartels is
Yes,
what they said.
exactly.
So they couldn't
One
put their name out there.
unnamed rancher who allegedly saw this, and I think I read earlier today that when the last prayer rug they found turned out to be an Adidas shirt. So there you go. Yeah, really.
It's a religious artifact.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
But I mean, you know, it's just, look, this fear mongering over the border stuff is just, it's getting to a point of ridiculousness. If he's relying on, I don't think he actually checks the sources on any of these things ever, really.
Of course he doesn't.
And when they talk about it, really, the Canadian border is where they suspect terrorists, and they've caught more suspected terrorists coming across the northern border than the southern border.
So what are you saying? Should we put up a fence
Yeah,
down
we
in the
need
middle
a
of the
wall.
Detroit River?
We
We
need
need
a
a
wall in
wall.
Windsor.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So
So here's the great part about this story that the Washington Examiner ran, and you know, a bunch of old reporters here, we can talk about this. Here's the quote they ran. It said, and this is the rancher who says, "I've talked to several agents that I trust. There's not a lot that I do trust, but the ones I do trust, I talk to them. What Border Patrol classified as OTMs, other than Mexicans, not a phrase I'd heard before,
OTMs. Okay.
has really increased in the last couple of years, but drastically within the last 6 months. Chinese, Germans, Russians, a lot of Middle Easterners, those Czechoslovakians they caught over on our neighbors just last summer."
wow.
First
The
of all,
Czechs-
are
the
they Czechs or
scare me.
Slovaks?
My mother
Which one are they?
is Czech. They scare me.
But here's the thing, and this is where the journalistic integrity part comes in. They left out a remark from there that prefaced the quote where he says, "Obviously, I don't have any proof of this, but I've been hearing." And so I'm like, okay, so Cousin Jeb is saying this, and
Yeah.
therefore it's true.
It's definitely got to be true.
You know, but the funny thing is these prayer rugs, and the idea, prayer rug hysteria, they're calling it. Like,
Wow.
I'm sorry, but if I was traveling through the desert, if I was somebody, I might want something to sleep on, a blanket maybe,
Yeah,
you know.
of course. Yeah, I would not. I mean, this, and we.
How
I
do we
think
know
we
it wasn't
talked
a
about this a
poncho?
few weeks ago. Exactly. That you were saying people who are dragging themselves through the desert, hoping that they might find a little oasis where some kind soul has left a couple gallons of water. They're probably not going to be carrying extraneous stuff like a prayer rug. I don't think you have to be in a prayer. Do you have to be in a prayer rug in Islam, or you just have to be facing in the right direction?
Yeah, I think you just have to face in the right direction.
I don't think the prayer rug is called for. It's just to help protect your knees. It's
Well,
just like
remember, we had the foot bath hysteria too. A few
Yeah, I
years
remember the
back,
foot
you
bath
know, in the
hysteria.
colleges and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
So that was a big deal. So,
Yeah.
you know, apparently that should be enough. But
Yeah.
those crazy Czechoslovakians, that's
Yep.
that's apparently that's a problem.
Watch out.
Yeah, I know.
Watch
I know. As long as they bring some of that great beer,
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
All right, what's next?
Rudy Giuliani.
Oh
Rudy
my gosh.
Giuliani went on the news
my
the other day and
gosh.
actually had the gall to say, I never said that there was no collusion.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I know. The goalposts, that sound you hear is the goalpost, like somebody's firing up a sawzall on those goalposts so they can move them yet again.
Yeah, but
again.
They move the goalpost, but still, it's like the kicker for the Chicago Bears. It goes off the one
Right.
and then off the bottom one and still misses. So, I mean, this guy, now,
Can you imagine
Morning
the
Joe
panic you
spent a bunch
must
of
wake
time
up?
wondering whether or not he was drunk when he did that interview. And I'm thinking to myself, wrong question to be focusing on, first of all. But their rationale was only somebody who was drunk could actually make such an obvious statement that could be so quickly disproven.
Sure.
Because there's footage everywhere of him saying, there's no collusion, there's no collusion.
But I think...
Well, now it's the president didn't collude, but somebody else, I never said the campaign didn't collude. Like, that's just as bad.
Didn't we say last week that there seems to be a significant number of Americans who enjoy being gaslit? I think that's maybe who he was talking to. I don't know. Can you, but I think I know what wakes Donald Trump up at 3:30 in the morning and has him reaching for his phone. It's knowing that Rudy Giuliani is his lawyer.
His
So,
lawyer.
Yeah.
It's funny that Rudy evolved from, he was the U.S. attorney, then he was the mayor, the hero,
Yeah,
and then
hero.
9/11, he was considered like one of the great leaders.
Right.
And now he's just turned into this
He's pathetic.
crazy dude.
Yeah.
Who's making all these.
What's he getting for this? That's what I wonder. I mean,
Well,
what is your soul worth? I mean, that's the
I
question
think
that you have
guys
to
like
ask.
that, are so
question.
used to the spotlight, they need it. So whatever they can do, he's on Fox. He seems to be on CNN a lot. He needs the spotlight, and so he'll take it in any form he can get it at this point.
Well, I mean, even Andrew Napolitano, who is a former judge and prosecutor, and he's always doing commentary on Fox News. I watch him quite frequently. Even he came out the other day and was talking about the fact that they may have shared the campaign data, with this Russian oligarch.
Yeah.
He's saying, yeah, that's not just collusion. He's like, that's more than collusion. He's like, that's conspiracy. That could be a real problem. So when you've got Andrew Napolitano coming on, sitting there going, I wonder if it's just a matter of time before this base just withers away a little bit because the numbers are bad.
I don't know.
What
It
would
seems
happen
pretty
if
solid.
Hillary, if we had
Oh my
all
gosh,
this stuff had happened,
that would make your head explode if you
if
think
all
about that
that
too much.
stuff had happened to Hillary, where all the Russian, the problem is the whole Trump.
Can we go back and talk about Benghazi some more? Because I think that's really the issue.
The whole
here.
Trump plan has never done anything to separate itself with conflicts of interest. The business, they've only used it more so to try to promote their own businesses. They haven't done anything to try to separate. So the idea of the whole Russian thing was like, they didn't care. There was no division. I mean,
Well, but the
scary.
other thing is, and
They're
again,
supposed to be.
Yeah.
This
This
thing
is
called the
something-
emoluments clause that's supposed to prevent that sort of stuff from
right.
happening.
But this again is what I've said like every week for the last week. Winning this election is going to turn out to be the worst thing that ever happened to Donald Trump. The whole plan was for him not to win, right? And for him to go back to, whatever he wanted.
selling Trump steaks, Trump
yeah,
vodka.
Trump steaks. He could build his tower. Nobody would care. But he won. And now, man, don't be careful what you wish for.
Well, I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move off of
right,
the
I'm
Donald for
done.
just a
I'm
little
done
bit.
with it. Yeah.
Although I do want to talk about the sort of tit for tat. Nancy Pelosi trying to take the State of the Union away from Donald Trump. Good idea, bad idea, because he responded by saying you don't get a plane.
Yeah.
And so they're now going back and forth, and there's memes flying everywhere about this. I will watch the State of the Union. I have to. It's part of my responsibility, but I can't imagine anything I'd rather do less at this point in time. And the Democratic response, is going to be a whiz banger too. So, was she right to do it, or should she just let the guy give the speech?
You want to take this one, Lego?
That's a tough one. I think she's right to apply pressure to say let's end this. And if that was a tactic, and obviously it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And now it just turns into a more petty fighting and stuff like that. So
I think she was doing it to provoke a response, if you ask me.
I mean, I think she knew she wanted to take away the little that little thing from him. It's not going to work. He's like, oh yeah, you're petty. I'm going to be petty. But the goal is to get the government, to get people, federal workers, paychecks again, to get the government functioning again. And it's just insane.
Yeah.
This is just becoming the norm, that it's okay for weeks and weeks.
You know, and I'm not the government nerd that you are. I didn't realize.
Thank you. I didn't realize I was a nerd. I
Well,
thought
you know
people
what I
who followed
mean.
government were all the cool kids.
Yeah, the cool kids. Yeah, sure.
You just destroyed me.
I save a little room in my brain for poetry and rock and roll. But anyway, I did not realize that the State of the Union is, the formality of the State of the Union is that the president is invited by the Speaker of the House.
Yes.
So she could actually, I mean, she could just say, you know, just drop the speech off, you know, have a messenger it
But
over,
that's the way they
a
used to
copy
do it.
over. I know, exactly. That, I
Do
mean,
it by
I used to have to
video.
give,
Bring the
I
video
used to have to
by.
give reports to city council once
Yeah.
a quarter, and frankly, if I could have just dropped off the paper and walked out the door,
yeah,
I would
I know.
would much
But I mean,
preferred
this
that
is
than
like,
getting
I give
grilled by
her,
the council.
I give her
It's a lot more fun.
8 points out of 10 for shade. You know,
Yeah.
I think it was really good shade, and she had to know something was going to come back from him, and
Right.
you know, so.
Well,
and then he says, what did he say? You're free to fly commercial. It's like to Afghanistan. It's like, are there a lot of commercial
You can
flights?
get there. You can get
coming
there. There might
out
be a
of
couple of
Kabul?
chickens on the flight. You never know. But you know, that plane that Indiana Jones crashed into the mountains.
Might have to go through Nepal and then get a tracker to help get you across the border.
But
I don't know if Delta goes nonstop from D.C. to Afghanistan.
all right, let's move to Michigan here. And look, there's nothing funny about this story. What happened with Dr. Larry Nassar and the way that that's handled. But John Engler, of course, has now left. He resigned.
Yeah.
Under pressure. Just a couple of days ago now. Actually,
You
yesterday,
can't
as a matter
fire
of
me,
fact.
I quit. It was one of those things. Yeah.
Well, basically, they're like, we're having a meeting tomorrow morning to fire you, so
Yeah.
you can resign if you want to do
Right.
that, and he did.
Right.
But I mean, I'm not going to get into all the different things that he's done wrong, but he's not Mr. Warm and Fuzzy. I covered John Engler in the 90s for the Michigan Public Radio Network. Was at the Capitol every day watching him, watching his press conferences. This is a guy that is happy sitting in an office, hashing it out, a deal with somebody, and basically strong-arming people to get what he wants politically.
Right.
He's really good at that stuff. So I can see why he had value for Michigan State in getting through this settlement.
He's a student of politics.
But why didn't they bring somebody else who actually could have spoken to these people as if they were human beings and not commodities that he was worried about?
That's an excellent question, and you're right. I mean, he might have been very useful in the, in like you said, the settlement process.
Yes.
But you don't settle with hundreds of sexual assault victims by, you know, saying some of the things that he said.
Never say that they're
You're a
enjoying the
Spartan.
spotlight.
Yeah. What did you think?
Go Green. I thought it was just great. I knew John from when
Yeah.
he was in the state senate. I was in the Detroit News
He was majority
Lansing
leader.
Bureau, and he was a schmoozer. He'd come to all the little parties, the media parties, and all that. He's a skilled politician. He's a lifelong politician.
Nobody
I'm not sure
would
he's ever
ever
done.
doubt that, yeah.
I'm not sure he did anything until he left the governor.
He didn't read this
outside.
room very well, though. Normally, for a guy who read the politics
But
incredibly well his entire career, he didn't get this.
The board of trustees, it's so systemic there at Michigan State, from the way they handled the Nassar thing, and then they bring in the wrong guy.
Right.
It's like Michigan State is clueless, and institutions are clueless in so many ways. Look at Penn State.
Because
they care more about the institution. They care more about the donors.
The Catholic
and they don't care about
Church-
who they're serving.
Right. It's to preserve the institution at all costs.
Right.
And, you know, protect the host, essentially.
And
They're self-contained, you know.
Well,
universities.
I mean, my office was at Michigan State when I worked at the Capitol. We actually had a little closet at WKAR up there. So I was on campus every day and, you know, grew to love Michigan State. I went to Western, but I didn't go to Michigan State. But I grew to love Michigan State. And, you know, it is a great institution. They have been
It's a
severely
great
damaged
school.
by this.
Right.
Now, the question is, I mean, yeah, he got them through the hard part of this, right? The settlement is pretty much done. They'll reopen that fund and take care of that mistake that they made the other day. The donor base seems like they've calmed down a little bit. They see something going on the right track. In a way, did he maybe do the university a bit of a favor? Because whoever comes in next,
Oh, we know who's coming in next. I can't think of his name. Upta.
yeah,
Satish
Upta, but is he going to
Yeah.
be there forever? Is he the permanent guy?
No, of
they're,
course not, no.
they're doing a national search, but
Right.
I think they just opened the door for a lot more candidates to actually look at it, because you're going to come in and all that stuff's already been dealt with, the bad handling, and you can come in and look like, all right, I'm the new guy, I'm the new woman, whatever.
Right.
I can fix this place, and I don't have that baggage anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
a thought.
It's a very damaged institution right now. It's a shame the way
It is.
everything was handled, from the Nassar scandal to installing a guy like this who just was clearly the wrong guy, and he proved it all on the way.
Right.
You know. The only thing I'll say good about right now Michigan State, I feel like we always have to mention Bell's Pizza if we're going to mention Michigan State.
Oh, so the funny thing is,
I can't believe this guy doesn't weigh 800 pounds. He basically eats all day long, pretzels and all this stuff. And yeah, go ahead.
so it's funny. We're actually streaming this live on Facebook right now, and Joan Sylvie, who
I'm waiting for pizza
our
right
friend
now.
Joan Sylvie is on here right now, and she says, "Hey, that was a hollowed closet at WKR." She worked with me there, and she said, "All hail MPRN and our 90s days covering the Engler administration." Nice to hear from you, Joan. She was great. She was at Michigan Radio for a long time as well, and really wonderful person.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Michigan State, Engler's gone. But I'm sorry, Mo Salam says, the long nightmare.
The reign of error.
The reign of terror. The reign of terror,
really,
yeah. Look, the Board of Trustees just changed in the last election. You knew that they were going to do something about this.
Right,
Yeah.
sure.
But, reign of terror?
I think what he was talking about is, I think what Engler was talking about when he said some of them are enjoying the spotlight and the awards.
Yeah.
I think he's probably referring to Rachel Den Hollander being named the Michiganian of the Year by the Detroit News. It's like I have been to that banquet a couple of times now, and I can tell you that unless the food is substantially improved, I think she probably would not trade that. So.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Sorry, I got to extend my parking time here. So go ahead.
Well, that's important stuff.
It is. It's
but you're coming back down here. You got Autoprom.
I know.
I was going to ask about this. Autoprom is today.
Yeah, I've had my jewelry consultation. I've had my makeup test.
She's
my
waiting
dress
for the
is ready.
E-channel, the
Exactly.
red carpet.
I'm ready for all of
What
that
are you
stuff.
wearing there, Nancy?
Who are you wearing? Yeah.
I should show up with my microphone and ask people as they walk in.
Are you going?
I'm wearing President Tuxedo.
Are you
No, I am not. I've proudly covered over 20 auto shows at this point in time, and I have never once gone to Autoprom.
Oh,
You've never gone to the charity
I've been
preview?
once.
Nope,
Okay.
I have not. I have
Yeah.
not. And look, great event.
Yeah.
And who knows? Celine Dion could be there one year, like she was a few years
No,
ago.
well, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what replaces it, because this is, of course, the last January auto show.
Yep.
It's going to be June of 2020. It comes back, and presumably they're going to have the charity preview again, because that is that's a huge event. But it means a whole new dress. I have to buy a new dress if we're going next year. We'll see. So.
But it would not be Detroit in auto show week if something stupid didn't happen, whether it's a storm, there's usually a storm, an ice
the
storm,
auto show,
or
you
power
mean?
goes
Oh,
down
yeah.
or something. This year, of course, we had a water main break, which meant that people were taking some cold showers for a little while, and you had boil water advisory that was in place for the first, for basically the 2 media days. I think it got cleared up on Tuesday morning, but it's just
They had
it's
signs
always,
on the bathroom doors.
Yeah.
it's always something.
It is. It's always something.
Hey, welcome to Detroit. Don't drink the water.
What about that couple
It's like a
that was
statewide thing for us now, not just Flint anymore.
What about that couple that was supposedly having sex in the various cars after hours? I think they worked at Kobo. That was a few years ago.
that.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was a few years ago. That was a
That
that
should
was
be
a
an
good one.
event.
Yeah, the first one I went to had I believe first one I went to I came over from Ann Arbor and it snowed 10 inches that day.
Yeah.
10 inches. So it was. Yeah, you're right. It's always something. So.
Well, it's fun. Anyway,
Okay,
is this the
parking
kind of
renewed.
thing? Do you? I mean, you go to the charity preview. Do you actually like the auto show?
Yes, I do. I do like the auto show. I just wrote a column about this. I don't like driving so much. I don't want to. I mean, owning a car has really lost its charm for me. I mean, it's like having health insurance. It's like something you have to have, but you don't sit around going, "Boy, I'm really glad I have that," until you really need it. But I do. It's a beautiful show. There's like the fabulous cars and the reveals and all that.
I have a question. You may be able to answer that. We were there on Monday for the media day.
Yeah.
Walk around the floor, and maybe 2 years ago, everything was about the driverless, autonomous cars.
Right.
And I didn't really see much of that. Was I missing it? Was it in another part of the
there were
hall,
They had a little
They were
corner
in between the
of-
giant trucks and SUVs that were.
Yeah,
the trucks and SUVs and the land.
Yeah, they had a little corner with like the Welcome to the Future stuff. That's where they had the personal helicopter, the $200,000 quadcopter that can
that
carry
thing's
2
pretty
people.
sweet.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Sweet. Well, I'll tell you, I probably shouldn't say this. I don't know. The guy was talking to the media. It was media day. Some guy came up and he said, "Well, so what happens if you?" It's like a photographer's drone, right? It's got the 4 quadcopter. That's a quadcopter. He goes, "If you lose one of those, somebody hits you with a rocket launcher, will it still fly with 3?" And the guy just kind of looks at him for a second. And he goes, It has an onboard parachute.
At the same time, I mean, if a guy's got a rocket launcher, you could be in a jet, you're in trouble. I mean, it's not just, I think just about anything's going to go down.
Okay, so maybe, it just
Now,
just
who asked
winged
that
him.
question?
All right, I don't remember who it was. Some guy.
Because
So
that's
say, it wasn't a media guy. Say what if two of these guys hit each other? Two men, and it's going to be men, who can afford $200,000 personal helicopters run into each other, and death from above streams onto all of us. Boy, that'd be awesome. That's what you call a good start. Right?
Yes, I suppose you're right. All right. I did want to talk about this story just because we've only got a couple of minutes left.
Oh, sorry.
And I have to save some room for Big Macs because we do have to talk Big Macs because we forgot about that.
Yeah.
But this guy had a tree stump in his front yard.
Kentucky.
He was in Kentucky, and they got a bunch of snow the other day. So they build a huge snowman, and he uses the tree stump as the base for this thing.
Yeah.
And then they put the second half on and the top half, and it's like an 8-foot snowman.
Yeah,
it was pretty
cute.
big.
Yeah.
So some dude decides that he wants to run it over with his truck. So they come out in the morning and they see these car trucks, not knowing that there was a tree stump underneath it. So this guy was 30 miles an hour burying in there and probably tears up his car. And I was like, that's
good one.
Hey, karma.
Another good start.
Why
exactly.
would you wreck a kid's dream
Who
that way?
ruins a snowman? What kind of animal does that?
Kind of an animal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What kind of animal? Right. Okay.
All right, last one. I remember in college, I ate a lot of fast food.
Yeah.
I still have hankerings for fast food on a regular occasion, right? I'm not sure how I'd feel if I was invited to, say, the Michiganian of the Year banquet.
Right.
And I get there, and there's a bunch of Big Macs and Whoppers on the table.
Yep.
Hundreds of them that have been sitting there probably getting a little chilly. And everybody knows how good a cold McDonald's hamburger is. Donald Trump served, of course, fast food to the Clemson Tigers when they came through. And he said, and I bought it all myself. I'm like, well, I see that you put a lot of thought into this.
What a shooter.
But, it was a weird optic, and I'm sure those kids probably ate it all.
They're
college kids.
Fast food has a shelf life of about 5 minutes, right? Sometimes if you don't eat it immediately in the drive-through lane, it's not going to last very long. So no matter how quickly they got it over, I guarantee you that crap was awful.
It would have been fun to see one of the players act like John Belushi. And just start stuffing his face with everything.
I could just see one of them going, "Do you have a kosher meal?"
Right, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm vegan. What do you got for me?
Well, it was a weird look and a strange thing.
Weird
but it's like,
doesn't
and I
even
paid
begin.
for it myself. Well, yeah, okay.
Boy, that
you
set
were
him
supposed
back.
to have $10 billion or something like that. You're a billionaire.
And what kind of crass jerk like that says, and I paid for it myself? I mean, come on.
Well, it's sure he's not wasting government money.
Yeah,
while
wasting
we're at a
government
shutdown.
money. And it was funny. The Washington Post did a piece where they estimated, looking at the photographs, approximately how much money he spent on this. And I think they came up with something like $3,000. And one of their readers wrote in and said, well, I noticed that the nuggets and one of the hamburgers was on the 2 for $5 menu. so they revised it down to like $2,400 and change. It was quite something.
A lot of really great memes have come out of this recently, and my favorite one was Donald Trump was replaced with the Hamburglar from McDonald's, and he says, and guess what? I'm going to get Taco Bell to pay for it all. I thought that one was pretty darn
That's a pretty
clever.
good one, yeah. I was thinking more like, welcome to hell. It's like, this is what you'll be eating the rest of your life.
Well, and last thing, the figure skating championships are here this weekend, and that's a big deal. First time we've been here since 25 years ago.
Nancy
the infamous
Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan.
Yes. I covered
Tanya
that
Harding
for the
thing.
Detroit News.
I was going to say, I remember Don Gagne was on that beat for NPR for a long time. He's like, never figured I'd be doing a story about a figure skater whacking another figure skater. So it just doesn't seem like something that would ever be on NPR's radar.
It was
and here
the
it is.
figure skater's husband's goon whacking the figure skater.
Right.
Well,
but
that's
you're right.
true.
It's
Galooly. Wasn't his name Galooly or something like that?
Galooly was the husband. It was Shane Scott or Stott, something like that.
There's
First
a great
of all,
movie.
Number one, yes. This is the OID story to top them all, only in Detroit. I mean, I love this story for many reasons. And also, in the fullness of time, who has come out on top of this? Boring old Nancy Kerrigan or badass Tanya Harding.
Tanya Harding.
Nobody's making movies about Nancy.
That's right.
So
That's
there
right.
you go.
Well, maybe that's it. So that's it. So basically, being the bad person is what elevates you to the top, which is the lesson of this week's Friday Follies, because that's what we've
She
seen.
said
Other
she
than
didn't
that,
know.
How many people would have paid attention to the figure
Yeah,
skating
exactly.
event?
Very
Who
true.
cared?
Well-
Yeah, it was. It was the best thing to happen to figure skating.
You know,
Who pays attention to
It
figure
made
skating?
it real.
a
It made
lot
it a
of
real
people
thing.
do. I mean, there's a lot. Look,
Well,
that
but I
thing's going to
mean-
be sold out. It'll be
It will
packed.
be sold
It
out.
was like roller derby meets figure skating.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, they should have like
Like I
roller
said-
derby on ice.
Yeah.
you
And
know?
it was Detroit.
Yeah, and it was.
so,
It
you
was
know,
OID.
hey, we're happy to contribute a little bit to figure skating history. Welcome back, fans of figure skating. Hopefully we don't see anything like that happen
Yeah,
again.
I know. And
But-
she did recover.
All
I mean,
right.
you know, it was a bad thing, but everybody kind of healed and moved on.
Well, I'm going to let you get out of here so you can go get
Okay.
ready for Auto Prom. I know you've got to do this. Nancy
It
Derringer,
takes
thank you very
hours.
much.
Thank
Alan
you.
Lengel, of course, from Deadline, both from Deadline
you.
Detroit. I'm Craig Folly. This has been the Friday Follies on Deadline Detroit. Thanks to Michael as well for doing an excellent job engineering my stuff today. We do appreciate it, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
He's the best.
He's killing it. Like
He
this
is.
kid. Like
He
this
is.
kid a lot.
I like this kid a lot.
You know,
It's
he's
great.
doing a good. It's not a kid, but
Yeah, I know.
younger than me, so
Yeah.
technically everybody is. Anyway, thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week for more of this. But check out the show every day. I'm posting it usually about 1 o'clock, the daily podcast. You can get it at DeadlineDetroit.com. My name's right there on the top of the page. You can just click on that. But read all the other good stuff that's on Deadline every day. Check it out. Happy to be there. It's a good home for us. And check it out. We appreciate your help. Thanks. See you next time. Next time, if the price is right. Something like that. See ya.